In the beautiful and peaceful kingdom of Nani, there lived a kind king named Orobosa and his loving queen, Isiosa. Together, they ruled the land with fairness, and their people adored them. The villagers, rich in culture and traditions, always spoke highly of Queen Isiosa. She was not only generous but also helped everyone in need. Whether it was feeding the hungry or caring for the sick, she was always there. Their son, Egosa, was just 8 years old. He was loved by the villagers because he inherited his mother's kindness. He was curious, brave, and always willing to learn about the kingdom. But one fateful day, tragedy struck. Queen Isiosa suddenly fell ill, and it wasn't an ordinary sickness. It started as a faint weakness in her limbs, something she brushed off as fatigue from a busy day. But soon, the weakness grew into pain, and her skin began to turn a pale, ghostly shade. No matter what she ate, she grew thinner, and her once bright eyes began to lose their shine. The village herbalist was summoned, and he tried all the known remedies, herbs for fever, roots for strength, and even rare plants gathered from distant lands. But nothing seemed to work. Her illness was mysterious, and the villagers whispered that it might be a curse. Some even speculated that the gods were angry, though no one dared say it out loud. As Queen Isiosa's condition worsened, strange things began to happen around her. At night, the winds would howl louder than usual, and the trees around the palace would sway as if disturbed by an unseen force. The palace animals, horses and chickens, became restless whenever they were near her room, refusing to eat or sleep. The kingdom's elders, who had seen many strange things in their lifetime, whispered among themselves that her illness was not of this world. The king was beside himself with worry. He stayed by her side, holding her hand, hoping she would recover. But the once lively queen grew weaker by the day. Her voice, which had always been filled with warmth and laughter, became a faint whisper. She tried to smile for Egosa, who came to her bedside every morning, but even that became too much for her. Despite the village herbalist's best efforts and countless prayers from the kingdom, Queen Isiosa passed away peacefully in her sleep one cold morning, the wind outside eerily still as if mourning her loss. The entire kingdom fell into a deep sorrow. The villagers wore black-cloth and sang mourning songs for days. Egosa and King Orobosa were heartbroken. They cried for days, unable to believe she was gone. After Queen Isiosa's death, King Orobosa tried his best to take care of his son and the kingdom. However, with time, the kingdom needed a queen, and the king needed someone by his side. He remarried a woman named Eki, hoping she would help heal the kingdom's wounds. At first, Eki seemed kind, but soon her true nature surfaced. Eki didn't care for Egosa. She was cruel and heartless toward him, and when she had her own son, Osahon, her hatred for Egosa grew even worse. She would always pamper Osahon, giving him the best of everything, while making Egosa do all the hard work. She even commanded the maids not to give Egosa any food when the king wasn't around. Egosa, despite the cruelty, remained strong. He remembered the love his mother had shown him and tried to keep her memory alive by staying kind to everyone. Eki's jealousy and hatred toward Egosa knew no bounds. She wanted her son Osahon to be the next king, and she knew that Egosa stood in his way. She made several attempts to get rid of Egosa. One day, she bribed the guards to take Egosa to the river and drown him while he was taking his bath. But luck was on Egosa's side. A great fisherman named Oseyonde happened to be nearby and saved him just in time. Though Eki's plans failed, she didn't give up. She even tried to poison him, but each time, something would go wrong, and Egosa would survive. The young prince was unaware of how close he came to losing his life, but he continued to endure the hardship with bravery. The kingdom of Nani soon faced a terrible calamity. The crops dried up, animals became sick, and villagers started falling ill. This misfortune spread fear and uncertainty throughout the kingdom, and the once thriving land was now in despair. Eki saw this as an opportunity to finally get rid of Egosa. She went to the village herbalist, who was known to communicate with the gods, and seduced him. She convinced him to tell the king that Egosa was cursed and that his death would end the suffering of the kingdom. The herbalist, under Eki's influence, lied to King Orobosa. He told the king that the gods demanded Egosa's life to save the kingdom. Heartbroken, the king didn't want to believe the herbalist, but as things got worse, he had no choice. He loved his people, and they were suffering terribly. After weeks of thought, he finally agreed. King Orobosa ordered the guards to take Egosa into the evil forest, a place feared by all, and kill him. However, one of the guards knew the truth. He suspected that Queen Eki and the herbalist were up to no good. Instead of killing the young prince, the guard helped Egosa escape into the forest, warning him never to return to the kingdom. Alone in the evil forest, Egosa faced many dangers. Wild animals and evil spirits roamed the land, but something inside him kept him going. He remained kind, just as his mother had taught him. This kindness saved him when he met a kind spirit in the form of an old woman. She took care of him, giving him food and shelter for 2 weeks. Before he left, she blessed him with a charm to protect him and told him of a village called Oluna that needed help. She revealed that Oluna was being haunted by evil spirits, and Egosa was the one destined to save them. Egosa, now alone in the dark forest, set out on his journey to the village of Oluna. Though he was still young, he felt a new sense of purpose. The kind spirit, the old woman who had saved him, had given him hope, along with the powerful charm tied around his waist for protection. The journey was not easy. He had to cross rivers, climb hills, and sleep under the stars. Each night, he could hear the howls of wild animals and the rustling of leaves from unseen spirits. But the charm worked, no harm came his way. Egosa's bravery grew stronger with every passing day. Along the way, he met travelers who told him stories of Oluna, a once-thriving kingdom now haunted by evil spirits. These spirits would attack the village every night, causing destruction and taking lives. The people lived in fear, and their king, along with the royal family, had already perished. As Egosa listened to these stories, he became more determined. He knew this was his destiny, to save the people of Oluna and become their protector. After days of travel, Egosa finally arrived at the outskirts of Oluna. It was dusk, and the village looked eerie and quiet. As he entered, the villagers peered at him with suspicion. They were afraid to trust any stranger, especially after all the destruction caused by the evil spirits. Some of them whispered that he could be another curse sent to harm them. Egosa, undeterred, approached the village chief's house. He introduced himself, explaining that he was a prince from the kingdom of Nani who had been cast out because of the lies of an evil queen. He also shared the story of the kind spirit who had sent him to Oluna to defeat the evil spirits. The chief, an elderly man named Oluwo, listened carefully. Though he was cautious, he could see the sincerity in Egosa's eyes. The chief then shared the tragic story of Oluna. The village had been under attack for months. The spirits came every night, destroying homes and killing anyone in their path. The people were losing hope. Egosa remembered the charm given to him by the old woman in the forest. He told the chief that he believed he could defeat the spirits. Though the villagers were still afraid, the chief decided to give Egosa a chance. That night, Egosa prepared for his first encounter with the evil spirits. The villagers gathered in their homes, too scared to venture outside. The streets were empty, and the only sounds were the winds blowing through the trees. Egosa stood alone in the middle of the village, clutching the charm around his waist. As midnight approached, the ground began to shake, and a cold chill filled the air. The evil spirits had arrived. They appeared as shadows, dark and menacing, with glowing red eyes.